Happy 420. It's nice to be here standing amongst all these plants, and I was just repotting some stuff and thinking about how much I love it in here. And I've always had a vision for a long time of building my own home. And when I thought about the things I wanted in my own home, um, funny enough, the things that I desire in a house are pretty uncommon. Number one, dirt floor. And we don't exactly have a full dirt floor here, but it's stone and dirt and it's covered in dirt. To me, that's close enough. Number two is a home that can't break. So what I mean by that is, like, for example, this window here just now, from the wind, snapped off. And it quote unquote broke, but I actually fixed it because I built it, so I know how to fix it, and I made it more secure. So this to me is a super cool thing because something about the way the world is created, like in our modern times where homes are built and things are built and they're built out of plastic and materials that just break and we just throw them out, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I've been subjected to it for all these years, and I've just been participating in it, frustrated because I didn't know what to do. And when I started learning how to build and fix and make things, that was kind of the first step for me to get into this space of like, oh, there is nothing that can break. When you're creating it, you see how it's made. If something breaks, you make it stronger. So we actually recently just built a farm stand that we're going to have just to like have produce and eggs and stuff for our neighbors and friends. And I built the thing, and I was really excited about it. I built it all out of, speaking of something else just popped off the green. I built this farm stand out of wood, and it was all wood that I just happened to have around, and cold wood and reclaimed wood and stuff, and I felt really excited about it. I was so focused, and I did the thing, and the next morning I woke up, and the farm stand had been blown down the hill and was smashed. Now, somehow I managed to roll the whole thing back up the hill myself, and put it together and made it stronger. And yeah, it sucked to wake up like, ugh, but it's the same thing with the greenhouse. If you can see, I wonder how well it shows up. I'm sure it shows up. Yeah, it shows up. See all this tape here? All this tape. I know it doesn't look great, right, from aesthetically, but guess what? Bigu, as it turns out, our cat, absolutely loves to climb the side of the greenhouse. And the first time I was like, oh, no! And the second time, oh, God! And but after the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 12th time, I just take my tape and I tape it back up. And what are you going to do about it? So in life, of course, there are always challenges and things that we're going to face. But the more you face the challenges and the more you realize they're not challenges, they're just things that are happening that you get to dance with. And we don't have to make them good or bad. The more it just becomes, for me at least, easy to be like, oh, every time Bigu jumps, it's a little bit less painful to my heart. To the point now where he jumps and I'm like, he's a cat. What are you going to do? And I tape it up and I go on. And one of the reasons I wanted to share this because we live in a world where we think, I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday, where it's like everything's like do it yourself and make it on your own, and every man for themselves, and all these things that kind of like the American dream and the American way, where it's all about the individual. But it's an illusion, because even if you quote unquote make it yourself, you work for a company, well, guess what? You're not, even, and if you work for yourself, well, you have people that you work with, and maybe, you grow your own food, or maybe your community is going to the Walmart or going to the grocery store. That's where you get your food. So we can act like, oh, I can do it on my own, but it's this illusion, the illusion of like, let me just work and grab all this material wealth and then pay all these other people for all this stuff. But because we're paying and it feels so transactional, it can be very easy, I've seen, to like feel like, oh, I worked hard for this, I give the person the money for it, now it's mine, you know what I'm saying? There's like this mine thing. But in reality, if you look into nature and maybe look into the history, the way things work, it was much more communal, and people recognized that they were one with everything. And I think a big intention of why I continue to share on here, even though sometimes I'm like on these apps and just like I should just go dark forever, is because I want to be here as a reminder for those out there that are needing that There is no ultimate destination, no place to get to, but if you feel a pull and a drive in your heart, you can work and design your life to continue to work in that direction. No matter what you see, like I can look in this greenhouse and you can, oh, I wish I had a greenhouse and this and this. There was a time where I didn't have a greenhouse and somebody else had a greenhouse and they showed it to me and I was blown away, and one day I went to have a greenhouse. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't know how long. I wasn't attached to it. I just waited and waited and waited, and slowly the pieces start coming together, because that is how intention and manifestation work. We can think that intention is, oh, let me just think about this thing and write it down, and I want to have a big house and a car and a beautiful partner and da-da-da-da, and we can think that that's like the way that it works. But when we have all these other fears and things and challenges going on, they're all jumping on top of these desires. So I like to look to the fears. Instead of being so attached to the physical, look at the fear that's holding me back, that's keeping me from out of sync, from being at one with the Creator, with all. And then from doing that, the side effect is just being in tune. Today was a very synchronistic day. Now I could say all days, all moments are equally synchronistic, and yet there are certain days and times and experiences where things are just that much more obvious as a reminder to me, to anyone, oh yes, there is this magic, there is this flow. And sometimes my brain wants to control it. It wants to figure it out. I've been going through this recently with financial stuff. It's like there's this part of me that gets frustrated financially, because it's like I don't want to have to play into the system of how finances work. And I like to more gifting and community and sharing and trading and these types of things, and the reciprocity that comes with that. And I also understand that money is part of the society we live in. I'm not trying to demonize money, but there's such a mind, take mentality that I've seen in the world, and even that I've been emblazoned with in a lot of ways, that sometimes I get frustrated. And I was explaining to my mom that it's like I don't want to just, it's not like I want to just admit defeat and just get a job and just do the normal thing. It's like, it's not about that. It's more of creating a way and showing what could be possible, what could be a way that we could live in this world as the future develops. A lot of people right now are talking about AI and the virtual, like whatever's the, right now AI is the thing, right? But months ago it was crypto, and it was VR, and it was metaverses, and whatever the thing is, people are like trying to look to this future, and we all have an opportunity to look to our own future, and we don't have to go around and crusade and convince everybody that our future is the right way. But what I've seen is that there are people that resonate with this, that want to live in this more connected, more harmonious way of living. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and I'm by no means an expert, just here to share what I know. And when we watch and consume content like you are right now, if you feel something, it's easy the way these apps and stuff are designed to just go to the next thing. But I would urge you to not watch more of my videos and like and subscribe. If you feel like call, great. But to me, it's like, if you feel inspired right now, go take that step in that direction. Everything is moving in a certain direction. And the more we evolve and adapt to our environment, and the more we see things for what they are, not for what we were told that they were, the more everything starts to come together in a line. And you can look at it like a seed, right? Plant a little seed, you have a little idea. Maybe I plant a seed in your head, but really it's still you, because you're the one that's being, planted with this idea, wherever it's coming from. It's not a me or a you thing. It's like the universe planting an idea in your body, and then you get to explore that. And in that process, you might have ups and downs and confusions and wins and excitements and all the different things, but it's always moving you in a direction. And that's what I love about growing food and gardening and foraging, is like I can look to the goal and just, oh my God, I just want to have these gigantic plants. But when you really start from seed and tend to something in this cyclical fashion, where you tend to it and let it grow, and then it becomes seed again, and then you do the process over again, seeing that process every step of the way can be fulfilling. Yes, maybe some people have certain desires to have certain foods, and I just can't wait to pick a fresh tomato, and there's an excitement, and that excitement gets you to create it. And in a way, I think that's how these plants communicate with us. There's this desire to smell something, to taste something, and they kind of bring us in, they tantalize us into that world. So we get excited to plant them and to continue on, like we're helping and supporting them to continue on and to spread. And yes, as humans do, things get weird and get turned into profit, and ego and all, and that stuff comes in. But rather than get frustrated by what's out there, and I'm telling myself this because sometimes I do, I'm always reminded to just continue doing what makes sense to me. There's every person that you could ever imagine, every wonderful, loving, terrible, evil, all the different possibilities out in the world, they're all out there. They all exist as possibilities, and you get to tune into what you want. It's like if you're into video games, right? You like pick your avatar, you pick your character, and along the way you make choices. Well, guess what? That's how the world works. And the more you make choices that are in alignment with, what you really feel coming through your heart, the more your life goes in that direction. That's all I have to say about that. So I maybe mentioned this before, but I turned my phone to grayscale. It's just black and white now. So it's really interesting filming something that I can see with my eyes is so colorful, and you will as well. But in the screen, it's very black and white. This is a technique called soil blocking instead of having to use all this plastic. And this is something I've been trying out the past few months. A lot of people swear by it. You make a special soil blend with these soil blocks, and you pop them out, and there's a lot of advantages to them. Of course, not having to use the plastic, but also as they say, they air prune the plant. So when the roots start to reach the end, they kind of stop instead of getting tangled around, which can happen a lot with plastic. And so it makes them less susceptible to that sort of root bound, which is harder for them when they are transplanted. So in this way, it creates a lot less transplant shock. But it's been fun. It's definitely a different experience, different vibe. And I'm always experimenting and just kind of seeing how things work, and listening to others, but also never really listening to others. Wow, those loofahs are really taking off. Oh my god, excited. And we'll come see what I planted tonight. Clary sage, basil, holy basil. A lot of these were seeded together and I kind of broke them apart. Dill, a bunch of tomatoes, different types of onions. Yeah. So anyhow, it's always a pleasure. There are the chickens. Chickies! What are you doing? Where's the new crew? Everyone's starting to get along. It's a big deal. You guys are family. I'm gonna go make us some dinner. Be well.